We interrupt this RCA production of Kiss the Reviews, presented by Ovaltine, with an urgent news bulletin. Last night, April 14th, the British luxury liner R.M.S. Titanic sank after broadsiding a real humdinger of an iceberg, teaching us once again that if you want a job done right, don't hire the Irish. Unsinkable my ass, buddy. All you vagrants and vagabonds, steal the finest tuxedos you can and make your way to New York Harbor. Hundreds of widowed white women with money will be storming the beaches. It's like Fleet Week for those nosy suffragette dames. We now return you to Kiss the Review's 100th episode, brought to you by Ovaltine and Lucky Strike cigarettes. Is your gal Friday getting too chubby for her own good? Supply her a stern diet of Lucky Strike cigarettes and Ovaltine to watch her weight disappear.
Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today is our 100th episode. So for your viewing pleasure, we decided to do 1997's Titanic.
I mean, the decision was somewhat easy with this. It is like the biggest movie of the 2 decades we cover, by far.
Yep.
And I mean, this is the biggest episode we've had. We got to come correct with it.
Sure. Count me in.
If you would like to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Idle Poncho. But the Titanic. The Titanic
is so big.
Hey, this is Titanic. It's so big. It's so beautiful. It's so epic.
Yeah, I go to America.
Okay, another preface before we get into this. Yeah, if you're like, if this is your favorite movie and you're like, oh my god, it holds a special spot in my heart, don't ever make fun of not a single sentence in this movie, go ahead and click stop now.
But, yeah. Look, so, we will freely admit, we can freely admit what this movie is. It was a fantastic epic of a movie that dominated box offices, I think, until Avatar and then Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of room to make fun of this, and your ass needs to have a sense of humor over a fucking movie.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Dude, this is a blockbuster film. This is a great film, but there's stuff to be made fun of, and I have plenty of notes to prove it.
It's payday, boys.
It was a $200 million budget. This is another James Cameron joint. It was a $200 million budget. This did over $2 billion in worldwide gross.
It's crazy.
That is gross.
Yeah. that is gross.
I mean,
nobody was doing shit in 1997.
No. They decided to go to the Nickelodeon and check this one out. But let's get into this one. 1997 Titanic, star-studded cast. This stars Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack, Kate Winslet as Rose, Billy Zane as Cal, Kathy Bates as Molly Brown, Frances Fisher as Ruth, and Gloria Stuart as Old Rose. And I will throw in Bill Paxton, because he's our guy. He plays such a good role. I didn't even write down his character's name. That's Bill Paxton, okay?
That's right. His name is Bill fucking Paxton. Scientist Bill Paxton. Intrepid explorer Bill Paxton. Yes, and he even has like the same Philip Seymour Hoffman character he had in Twister in this. Like, I'm surprised. Yes. I'm surprised his submarine driver / exposition friend didn't tell a story about how this intrepid explorer Bill Paxton got drunk and threw a bottle of liquor at the Titanic and was like, "Fuck you, man," because he's the extreme.
He is the extreme. But let's get into this. So at the beginning, we have the setup. Bill Paxton and his crew are diving for lost treasure with the Titanic. They're looking for the heart of the ocean. They find Cal's safe. They bring it up. There's artwork in there, some other stuff. They're going through it, and they see the sketch that Jack drew of Rose, of Naked Rose. And there's...
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop here because there's different Roses in this movie. We have old Rose, we have young Rose, and then we have naked Rose. Those are the three characters for Rose in this movie. So they find
I would like to cast my vote for Naked Rose, please.
So they find the sketch of Naked Rose wearing the Heart of the Ocean. Bill Paxton flips out, says, "Oh my God, it's got to be there." They put it on the news. Old Rose sees young Naked Rose and says, "Them's my titties. I need to call Bill Paxton."
Dem's my titties. I think that was literally in the script, and they just cut it because of time. They're like, "Fuck, dude, this is 3 hours.
Yeah,
we can't spare another 2 seconds to hear Gloria Stuart talk about her titties."
After she says,
"I'll be goddamned,"
and then "Them's my titties."
Dem's my titties.
So
fair enough.
And she decides to call Bill Paxton, flies to the ship, and now we get into the story. Rose starts telling her story of her experience on the Titanic. You know, we get into the people boarding the Titanic, and from this point on, the rest of this movie is basically a snapshot of wealth inequality within 150,000 square feet of a ship.
Yeah, I was actually going to say you can even just scrap the wealth part out of this. And for any of our minority viewers, if you need to talk or explain inequality of any kind to a white person of any kind, show them Titanic and just let them know that the person who does not have the same rights is Jack Dawson.
Yes.
Immediately, you're going to turn everyone around on the issue, whatever it is.
They then cut to Jack and Fabrizio. They win tickets onto the Titanic in a game of poker. And this is where my first problem lies with this movie. Being an Italian American. Would it be the blatant? Would it be the blatant?
Did I guess correctly? That the opening shot and the opening fucking sound of Fabrizio's voice was quite possibly your first problem with this movie?
Yes. So I'll start off by saying this. Fabrizio's Italian. The actor that plays Fabrizio is, I believe, Italian-American. His Italian is spot on. It's regional. It's not proper Italian. So he does a really good job with the actually speaking Italian in this. But when it gets to the Italian-American broken English, it's the best I could describe this was a disturbingly horrible racist pizza commercial character. That's what this is.
I go to America.
When they're departing, the Titanic's taking off and they're waving at everybody, and Fabrizio says, "Goodbye, I'm gonna never forget you.
I'm gonna never forget you."
Dude, this it was bad. Like they honestly could have named him Chef Boyardee.
Yes, absolutely.
And it would have just been like, of course it is. This is young Chef Boyardee. Makes it off the Titanic, grows a mustache, raviolis for everyone. We win.
So let's move on from here. So we are now, full steam ahead. And we get some exposition here on some characters, mostly Molly Brown as she gets on. And this is the first time I heard the term new money. I'd never really heard that term before this movie. So
I heard it the first time my family and I went to a country club. And then again, in this movie, I understood what it meant and who they were talking about.
Yeah.
This was, you get to see even in, the upper echelon with the wealthy, how they treat people who are also wealthy. But it's like, oh, that's new money, so fuck them.
Yep.
Like, fucking settle down there, Whitey McWhiterson. The Titanic is set sail, and the effects, and I know we'll probably talk about the effects throughout this, but the effects of like the engine room and the amount of detail, like I really paid attention. Like when you're in the theater, I saw this in the theater when it originally came out, and you're kind of in awe of everything. When I watched this time around, I was amazed at the amount of detail in the effects. Like, obviously, it's a $200 million movie. James Cameron spared no expense in the making of this movie, and especially on the effects. It was amazing. So,
oh yeah, they're fantastic.
We get Jack and Fabrizio now at the front of the ship, and Leo gives his the famous line,
I'm the king of the world!
What goes unnoticed here is a slightly less famous line. I can see the Statue of Liberty, but it's very small.
I can see the Statue of Liberty already. Very small, of course.
It's a very small line, of course. But this one goes unnoticed, and it made me think about how many takes this whole scene took. Because obviously this isn't just one take. And the lines that they were feeding Fabrizio during this, like, this was the best line you had for the already like racist Italian character. So now I kept thinking, like, what other lines did you give him that this was the best line that you took? Oh my God, is the ocean? Are we going to fall in? Oh, look at the dolphin. I never seen no dolphin before. Oh.
I could feel them checking my hair for lice right now. Thank you, customs agent.
It had this very, like, super immigrant, again, Tony Pepperoni. Oh my God, I can see the Statue of Liberty. Oh, holy shit. Like, whatever. This upset me, but we'll get back into this movie, I promise.
This whole story is told from Rose's point of view, which is why you don't see Fabrizio ever again.
Which leads me to believe, because again, like you said, this is told through Rose's mouth, through the eyes of Rose. So I wonder if old Rose is on the ship and everybody's just like sitting around her. She was like, and then there was this Fabrizio guy, and he was like, oh my God, the Statue of Liberty, is so nice.
Well, she's respectful. She saw The Godfather, so she brought out marionette puppets and did it.
I actually really like the next scene because they set up most of the rich characters here. Cal, Rose, Ruth, Molly Brown, Thomas Andrews, and Bruce Ismay, the creators of the Titanic, and they're all sitting at dinner. And the Molly Brown character here is fantastic. Kathy Bates does such a good job with this throughout the movie. But right here, you have Cal like putting Rose's cigarette out, ordering the meal for her. And then you have Molly Brown with her line.
You gonna cut her meat for her too there, Cal?
She is such a fucking ball buster.
Oh, dude, she's a force. She's not play shit.
Yeah, she is the best throughout this whole movie. But here, this scene really sets her up. Like, you know who the fuck she is and what she's about. Jack and Rose meet when she steps over the railing in an apparent suicide attempt. Jack saves her, and their attraction starts there. The crew thinks that he tried to rape her because they hear her screaming and the situation, you know, that he's on top of her after she pulls her over. And then you get the rich white reaction here because, like, they have him handcuffed and she's like, no, that's not what happened. You know, I slipped, he saved me. And they're like, is that what happened, sir? He was like, yeah, that's how it went. And they're like, oh, quite a misunderstanding. We totally thought you were going to rape her.
Well, the boy's a hero then. Good for you, son. Well done.
On your way back to Slumtown now, boy.
And then
this is what is. They ask him, is this what happened? Even if he was attempting to rape her, what would you think he was going to say in them? Well, I am handcuffed, and Lord knows I'm bound now by honor to not lie to another white male in 1912. So, yes, sir, you are correct. I was going to rape her. She is lying. Throw her overboard. Send me to jail for 30 days.
They let him go. Cal invites Jack to dinner with the Richie Rich. And they hook up again the next day, Jack and Rose. They have some conversation, and Jack even says here, like, oh, we've talked about the weather. We've talked about my upbringing, where I came from. Like, why are you here? Like, what do you really want? And they get into this very childish banter, like, I like you. No, I like you, but I'm not going to admit it. It's like the hair pulling in the 3rd grade. Well, until he shows her his art.
Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion will tell you what that art will do to you. Here's what's difficult is she's 17 through this, and I don't remember exactly how old he is, but he's pretty young himself.
Yeah.
Which is fine, except for they're both so adult until this moment. And then it's like, no.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you've seen titties? I got titties. Now let's hang out. For real. It's time to Netflix and chill.
For realsies. Ismay then demands from the captain that they fire up all the engines and the burners or whatever the hell they have in there, and let's go full steam ahead. We want to show up to New York early because we want to be, the fastest ship and the unsinkable ship. We need to make headlines.
And can I just go ahead and offer a PSA here real quick?
Sure.
Thank you. Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. Quick heads up for you. If at any time someone is being overly passive-aggressive and telling you the best way to solve your problem is to do everything their way, even though you know it's wrong, don't fucking do it.
Amen.
Yeah.
That shit drives me insane. And it's always these posh British cunts, and I can say that because they're British, that are always doing it. Well, you see, if you really think that showing up on time and safe and sound is the way to go, I guess. But you can solve both of our problems, Bennington, by just slamming the fuck out of the engines and driving her home. I mean, I've never sailed a ship, let alone a luxury liner like this, but by God, I know how to drive up sails, boy.
So after this, the Jack goes to dinner, and at the dinner with Jack, and throughout this movie, it's basically rich people bagging on poor people, and Cal and Ruth trying to humiliate Jack because he's poor and they know Rose is taking a liking to him. Can we get this out the way? Ruth is, and I think I could say this for everybody that has seen this movie, has to be one of the most hated characters in film history. Like,
I hate her more than Billy Zane. I can explain Billy Zane's behavior more than I can Ruth writing a goddamn Reba McEntire song out of her daughter. Yeah. She ain't fancy. She ain't your last chance, you fucking hoe. That drives me crazy. And I totally missed that part of the movie the first time I saw it. I mean, I haven't really seen this movie that often.
Yeah.
Only every week for the last 20 years. I haven't seen it that often, but I totally forgot like that was their situation. I thought it was just like, you're posh, he's posh, you have to do it.
Yeah, my whole thing with Rose's mom was she's, forcing her into this whole thing the entire way through. And I'm just like, okay, we get it. And we get this revealed later when she's like strangling her with her corset. And we get the exposition that their dad died. Their dad basically lost all their money, whether through bad investments or whatever, but they're on the verge of being poor. And Rose can save the family if she marries Cal because he's rich. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you dumb bitch. What? You can't find an old guy that has money? You know why you can't find the old guy and you got to rely on Rose? Because you got a shitty attitude.
And you find that sort of rootless existence appealing, do you?
Nobody wants to deal with that shit. She can't find a dude because all the rich dudes are like, oh, you mean Ruth? Yeah, no, I'm good. That's why she's relying on Rose.
And I like how Ruth's idea of hell and poverty, and I get it, it was 1912, but still, was being a seamstress.
Yeah.
You're not a whore. You're a seamstress.
After the dinner, you have the party with the poor people with Jack and Rose. And they go there, they're drinking, they're dancing, they're generally having a great time. And then we see Mr. Belvedere sneaking around to spy on Rose.
This guy was one of the most worthless characters. His character just sucked, and you never even got the benefit or the gratification of seeing him die.
Yeah.
Because Cal gets on the boat at the end with the bebe, but Lovejoy or Lovecraft or whatever the fuck his psycho name was that nobody cares about, we never got to see him die.
I didn't really.
And you know why we didn't get to see him die? Because nobody cares about his name.
Yes.
We don't care about your name. We don't care if you die.
That's why I'll refer to him as Mr. Belvedere throughout this review. Cal loses his shit the next morning here at breakfast because Rose is hanging out with Jack and his poor people friends. Oh, and she won't have sex with him. Because that's a thing throughout this up until this point. He constantly brings up the fact that, like, hey, you won't, put your mouth on my pee-pee. Like,
and he keeps saying it in the creepiest ways.
Yes. Yes.
And so we're just going to go ahead and do this again. Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. If you are really wanting your betrothed to come into your bedchamber one evening and give herself to you, don't put it like that in any way.
No.
Find an easier, more organic way to bring it up.
Yes.
I was expecting you to come to me last night. Give yourself. I need your virtue. You will be my wife in practice and not in... Fuck off. What are you, fucking William Shakespeare? Get out of here with your ass.
Your delivery was brilliant. Mwah. It was...
Thank you. I went to the Billy Zane School of Acting and Eyebrows.
Acting!
Brilliant!
Let's go!
Rose goes to Jack. They continue to hang out. He takes her to the front of the ship. You get the scene here where she's like, I'm flying. I trust you.
I'm flying.
They're basically trying to hang out and stay away from everybody's eyesight.
Yes.
An eye line.
So they go to the front of the ship and pretend like they're flying, like a couple of jackasses.
Yes. So after this, Rose says, fuck it. Not only will I hang out with this homeless man, Jack, I'm going to let him sketch me in the nude with the huge diamond necklace so that I can give it to my shitty fiance as a big fuck you. And I think I'm going to go ahead and leave you now kind of sentiment.
I got to interrupt you because that was the best way I've ever heard that 20 minutes surmise.
Yes.
Ever. Period.
Thank you. After the whole sketching, he sketches her nude here. They run away because Mr. Belvedere comes chasing after him again, like, see, I gotta go find Rose. And they have sex in one of the cars in the storage area of the ship. They then hit the iceberg here. This is when all hell starts to break loose. There's more great effects here. The effects with the water coming in, the engine room, the whole, like when they're about to hit the iceberg and they go to full stop, then they go to reverse. You got all the guys in the engine room shutting all the coal bins or whatever. All of these scenes and the effects here are amazing.
Yeah, what I really liked about this scene, too, is Cameron did a great job showing you just how long, from the time they hit the iceberg or saw the iceberg until the time they went to start to avoid it.
Yes.
And, I mean, it was just astronomical how long that took. It further illustrates how baffling and how incredibly stupid it was to have the ship going that fast.
Yes, absolutely.
At night in those waters.
You get the captain here who goes to, I don't know, his first mate or whatever. I don't do ships. But he tells the guy, hey, I'm going sleepy time. When I go to bed, keep it at full steam. Listen, everybody's going to bed. You think Ismay gives a shit at this point? I would have been like, dude, drop that shit into second and let's fucking just coast this bitch out. But he's
cruise
like,
control the rest of the way.
He literally goes against, and Bill Paxton actually says it in this movie, he goes against all of his natural instincts of being a captain of these ships for 50 years or whatever. And he's like, yep, full steam ahead, no worries. And I think the dude even says something here like, you sure about that?
It will make the bergs harder to see, with no breaking water at the base.
That was infuriating, and I would say that's infuriating about the writing, but I mean, that's infuriating about real life and what fucking happened.
Exactly. And that's what's, again, what made it easier and why I'm going to bag on the script later so hard, is because so much of this is historical fact.
Yes.
Like, we know there wasn't enough lifeboats. We know they shipped off half full at best. We know that, all of these things occurred because of ego, hubris, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They all contributed to this crash or this wreck or this sinking, whatever. I don't ship either.
No shit.
It's fantastic how Cameron was able to layer that in.
Yeah.
The historical fact throughout the movie. He peppers it in. And it really does help bring it along. Unfortunately, it drags down the fact that the shit that he made up about this.
Yeah.
Dude, you didn't even motherfucking try.
After this, Jack gets arrested after Cal and Mr. Belvedere frame him for stealing the necklace. Again, the most infuriating part of this scene was because you have Mr. Belvedere, who's just a douchebag. And they're like, yeah, see, he stole the diamond. It was in his pocket the whole time, Rose, and he didn't even realize it. And then Mr. Belvedere takes the jacket. He's like,
"It isn't even your pocket, is it, son? Property of A.L. Ryerson."
Outside of a 5-year-old, who writes their name inside of their trench coat? Like, that bothered me. I was like, okay, it was a rich guy's trench coat. Are rich guys just like, yes, Smithers here. It's 613 Main Street. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. But whatever. So he gets arrested. He gets thrown in the clink on the Titanic. And as the ship sinks, Rose has to save Jack because he's handcuffed to the pipe. This scene was one of the comedic scenes here, or a comedic moment. I actually found this funny because he's like, take the practice swing. All right, try to hit the thing again. The thing that did upset me, though, was when she goes to, because he's like, okay, he puts his hands out and says, okay, now just swing hard and fast and get this thing done. And he hides his face because he's like, I'm going to lose it. At the very best, I'm going to lose a couple of digits here. I might lose a whole hand. I don't know. So he hides his face. But she closes her eyes as she swings the axe. And I'm like, he should be closing his eyes because he knows he's probably going to lose an arm at the elbow. Why are you closing your eyes? It was just infuriating.
I didn't like this scene at all. And I get it. I get it. You're layering in the comedic moments. It was a funny
little cute scene.
The fucking ship is sinking. Take your fucking comedy haha shit for when we're on land again.
Yeah.
There is no
That's fair.
fucking way.
Yes.
I'm asking you to take a practice swing. I'm asking you to take a second one. We're pausing for dramatic effect. Fuck that. You got an axe. Get me out of these fucking cuffs. We're about to drown. I'm done.
Keep order, I said.
That's all fair, but for the rest of the $2 billion people that saw this movie, they were like, that's a cute, funny scene. So that's cool.
You don't fucking know that. You don't know that. Everybody went there to see a ship sink, not Kate Winslet and fucking Leo's improv team.
So, but the ship sinking and the effects here are incredible.
Oh,
again,
yeah. This was
again.
This is one of the coolest. This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a movie. And again, when it was in the movie theater, and if they ever did put it back in the movie theater, I'd go see it again just for this scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it was amazing how they did this.
No, and again, going back to like the engine room and the detail here, like the dudes jumping off into the water, and like the one dude who hits the rudder and just, spins on his way down. Like the amount of detail in the effects here, again, are absolutely incredible. Like that was the one thing, and again, this is 97. We're 24 years later, and I'm still in awe of how they did all this with CGI.
I like how they set it up to how exactly it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And why it happened. Like if you went up 4 decks, cool. You go above that, though, we're all going to die. And they showed exactly how that was going to happen. He detailed how the ship was going to break apart. Yeah. And I loved the detail of the ship pulling them down as it was sinking.
Yes.
Just because of the drag it had on it and the weight and the force. That detail alone gave me so much respect for this movie, you almost overlook how bad the actual script is.
The ship then sinks. Rose and Jack are in the water now. Listen, I'm not going to go and make the same, there was room on the door argument that you've heard 1,000 times. But what I will say is, you're not even going to try? Not even going to try. They try once. They get in the water, and I really, because so many people have brought up, there was room on the door, in this scene, I wanted to make sure I paid attention to this scene. And I mean, there is merit to that sentiment. However,
sure, they
both try to get onto the thing, and you're a little panicky. You're a little shaky because, the water's freezing, and the door dips into the water and plops back out. Then Jack helps Rose onto it, right? And then they never even try again.
No. Or to even find another piece of luggage. Like, hey, nothing. Kick me over to that thing over there, or there might be a dead body over there I can jump on. They just build a raft out of all these frozen people.
Yeah.
And the whole
Leo's thing here, where he's like, because Rose starts saying her goodbyes, and he's like, don't start saying your goodbyes. Again, I think they cut the next line out, which was don't start saying your goodbyes now. There's another huge piece of wood over there that I can float my ass onto. Why don't you get your feet in the water and start kicking? Or something. There was something else could have been done here. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, you are correct, and I'm going to actually take it back further. The moment Rose killed Jack, because make no mistake about it, Rose killed Jack.
Yes.
And the second she killed him was when she jumped off the boat she was already on. Because she was safe. She was safe. She was going to be able to do her thing.
Yep.
What does that leave for Leo? He knew where to go. He knew to get on top of the boat. He knew the ship was going to pull him down.
Yep.
She doesn't help him, and she does help him throughout, getting to this point. But she doesn't help him after this point survive. Everything after this point, he does on his own. He climbs, he gets on top. He knows to get on top of the ship. Yep. So when it sinks, he knows it's going to pull him down. And he still would have been in position to get to that door, which he then could have got on himself.
Yes.
So the fact that she jumped off that fucking boat in a flare of romantic whim and ran at him and, oh, you're so stupid, Rose. And everybody's like, yes, they love each other so much. No, bitch, you fucking killed the love of your life right there.
Yep.
You fucking killed him. Because all you had to do was get on that thing, and you're a powerful young woman. You and Molly Brown could have convinced those other guys to start heading back earlier and got Jack on that fucking boat.
Yep, but absolutely.
Nope, couldn't do that, because Cal might know you're alive, and you're always going to have to deal with Cal. So you got to fake your death, too. Selfish asshole.
So after this, it cuts back to the present day. Rose goes to she's in her nightgown. She's in her nightie at 101 years old, and then climbs up on the railing of, she probably still has PTSD at this point from, I don't know, the Titanic sinking. I don't think she's climbing up on the railing, but whatever. That's just me. She takes out the heart of the ocean and then whoopsies throws it into the ocean.
I would have liked to have seen something similar where she did pass away.
Yeah.
But she passed away wearing it again. And her granddaughter comes in and is like, Nana, it's time to, oh my God. Nana's dead. And there's a fucking note that says I came out here to die. This is for you. Do with it what you want.
Yes. That would, you should have wrote the ending to this. And then
I should write something someday.
You should write something someday. But then at the end, she dies. She's reunited with Jack at the clock. Everyone cheers.
I did like that too, because I think the symbolism was missed. It was completely went over my head when I first saw it. because she's the last survivor. So she was the last one to die. So when she's finally there, she's literally reunited with everyone that died. And it was on the Titanic.
Yes.
Which is why they all clapped and why he was staring at the clock waiting for her, et cetera, et cetera. I actually like the ending a lot. That was better to me than her jumping off the goddamn boat and rushing back to him.
Oh, no,
I
absolutely.
Liked that. I loved that ending.
That ending's great. I love that ending. So as we do, I don't know. I don't know how you call a $200 million movie like that. It doesn't hold up over time. This movie obviously stands the test of time from all aspects, from the effects, from the actors and their portrayals of each of these characters. It's all done so well. This is still a blockbuster film. I mean, it's obviously made over $2 billion. This movie absolutely stands up.
Right.
But yeah, front to back, I love this. This movie is really good. Outside of the outside of the Fabrizio character, I don't want to go back and revisit that, but
I think the script writing that doesn't involve the historical accuracies. So basically, the love story.
Yes.
Fabrizio, fucking cliched Tommy McIrish or whatever the fuck his name was.
I'm Tommy Ryan.
All of that was very sophomoric writing. It was very basic bitch. Just like love triangle and blah, blah, blah. However, I recognize that is not even second fiddle. It's like third or fourth to why you're there to experience the movie. So, with that being said, that's just me being a snob because he fucking wrote something sophomoric and made $200 billion for it, which is about $200 billion more dollars than I will ever make off of writing. So, hey, must be doing something right.
There you go.
Other than that, though, no, it 100% stands the test of time. It's a good movie. I look at this movie a lot of almost the same way as I look at Gone with the Wind. In that I've never met anybody that's just like, it's all right. You either really like this movie or you really fucking hate it.
Oh, yes.
I despise Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
I really like this movie. It's a pretty good movie, and you get to see in Leo and Kate, two exceptional actors, really kind of just getting ready to hit their stride and get catapulted into the next level.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got though. I mean, do you have anything else for this?
No, happy 100th episode, buddy.
Happy 100th episode. Thanks everybody for watching and subscribing and commenting. Keep the comments and the requests coming. Our list is getting really long, but
so big.
But you're making it easy on us because we don't have to choose the movies anymore. You're just requesting them, and that's awesome. But yeah, comment below. Let us know your thoughts. And for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews. And if I don't see you soon, I'm gonna die. Miss you so much. Goodbye. This was Titanic, 1997.